selfishness. Actually, I adore and I like very much this first reading, because this is one thing I hear very often, not often, but rare, as a reply from the faithful people. So that's why I always need to. So I wondered, how can somebody be a Christian and don't understand this? My question was, Jesus liberate you from what? And the answer is from sin. Which can be a sort of answer, but this is like that you have, for example, somebody have a cancer, the tumor in the brain, and has a headache, and taking aspirin to kill the headache, but not dealing with the tumor. It's like if we are concentrating on sin, but not on the best and a very important thing which is in the core of the problem. I will come to this. But before, I would say something very, very interesting, that how we are acting. You know, we all are afraid of death by the nature. Is that our faith doesn't help at all. But something happening very interesting at the end of our lives. Somebody dies, the scientists witness at this, that you may be afraid till the few hours or days before it, and then you're absolutely calm. And we are dying in peace, many people, There is somebody who is not dying in peace from the other reasons. But general population is dying in peace. How that's happening? Because something we forget. No, we are afraid of death because we are thinking that we will disappear, or at least that we have to go on a trip, which we don't know, all by ourselves, alone. How stupid is that thought? I was thinking also this, it's terrible when you're dying, you will be alone, and you're going who knows where, and how the trip will look like. And imagine, you don't have to be not even believer to fight against this thought. Because we have organized for us everything in our lives in the company. You're never alone. When we come to this world, we have birth, we haven't been alone. We were always with our mother from the beginning of our existence. We had a company. So we are not alone. When we come to this earth, you're not alone. There's the parents, there's society, there's somebody, and through all our lives we're not alone. So how come that God organized something like this, created us in the company all the way up until death? It's because we don't even die alone, for sure. And we see the dying people who are calm because they find out that they are not alone, even in that moment. How great satisfaction it could be if we force ourselves to think about this and figure it out, that we are not alone. But we are thinking that we are alone because of the story we have heard. It's our experience, what's happening to us. It's a story which explains why we feel like this, why we think that we are alone. In the Garden of Eden, God created two trees, one of knowledge of good and bad and one of eternal life. Why? It's because He wanted to create for us a choice, because a choice is essential for the freedom. And the freedom is essential for love. And love is essential, and it's part of the confidence, or confidence is part of life, of love. To be able to put all our confidence in God, and to be able to hand ourselves in the hand of the God that He led us to this life. One day I will explain you why this is important, but for now let's stay this, because I will speak 20 minutes at least. So, but what happened? He created that tree and said to the Eve and Adam, don't take from that tree, because the very moment you take from the tree, you will die. Now, the Satan comes in, and start to dialogue with us. It's a human experience, and we know that we are all days we are speaking with the devil. Somebody is listening, somebody is not listening, but majority is listening. I told you a story about myself. Once I was preaching about the Satan in the church, 2 hours. And it was in one street in Novi Sad, 4 tracks divided with 2 straight lines, forbidden to go through, to pass. But the Satan told me, listen, it's a shortcut, you will save yourself a time, just so nobody's there. And I said, you're right. And I put in a rare, and while I'm doing that violation, I messed a police car, this one. So I messed the car, and the police stopped me, and I come out laughing and say, listen, I was speaking about the devil 2 hours, and I did it what he wanted from me to do. And thank God I didn't hit you. And they laughing also, and they said, okay, go, but don't do it again. So the devil said to Eve, drawing her into dialogue, and said, not that God prevents you to eat from every tree in the garden. Exaggeration. Like that was the one, exaggeration, and you will save the time. No, it's the same thing, The standard way and that way will take me at the exact moment of 3 minutes. So I didn't gain anything except possibly the punishment of the policeman. So, and she said, no, he said just from that tree. And the moment we will take from this, we will die. I said, no, you will not die. Really, we don't die. But we will spiritually dead from that moment. Why? Because we have separated ourselves from God. From that moment when we took from that tree of the knowledge of good and bad. Why knowledge of good and bad? Because you are taking the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, and we said the fruit of the knowledge of bad and evil is mine. I'm the owner. So what does this mean? It means that I can define what is good and evil. And we're doing this all the time in our lives. We tasted it, and now we are putting the orders. It's just to do this, it's not just to do this. Never mind, remember all the wars on this planet is based on this, This is just fight. To kill somebody is just, I don't think so. It's a selfishness. So, but why God planted that tree and said you will die? Because Satan said so. He said, the moment when you take this fruit, God knows that you will be like gods. You will become yourself an idol. A God that doesn't exist. Incapable God. But we all think about ourselves that we are gods. Because we commanded with our lives, with the lives of the others. We are trying to be first, we're trying to be best. So, why this is important? Because God planted that tree in the garden, as I said, to have a choice. And the choice wasn't between God and the tree. To have a just choice, to be free, we had to have equal strong choices. So the equal strong choice would be just will of God, my own will. Because my own will is strong for me. It is strong enough as the will of God. Only two things. It depends what I will choose. Sadly, experience of the humankind, that's why we are reading this, is that we all choose ourselves. That's why we are in big trouble. Because we became to be selfish. And that selfishness is reflecting on all the aspects of our life. That's why we are thinking that we will die alone. Because that selfishness in ourselves is always in every aspect of our life is active. And we are thinking, I am the most important, but I will die alone. Which is not true, as everything else. Because God made us in company. All the time in our lives we are in company. So the selfishness is the biggest problem. And only one problem. Because everything else comes from that problem that I'm on the first place. I'm the one. Everybody has to serve me. And never it's enough. I'm grabbing for myself. So, the problem looks like this. And the root of the problem is a selfishness, egoism, which provokes desire. I want something for myself. Never mind that I cannot have it. I want something for myself. And then final phase is when I decide to obtain this, I'm committing a sin. So yes, in a certain way, Jesus came here to save us from sin. But if we are just exactly thinking this, then it's a problem, because I'm asking, Jesus save you from what? And you're saying, from sin. And I say, okay, do you sin? And I said, yes. 2 times in a year you had to home confess. This is the one of those times I recall you. Don't forget to confess your sins. So then people said, that's right, so Jesus didn't save me from sin. Then from what he saved me? Actually, if you don't know what, you don't appreciate Jesus. So we have to understand where is our sickness to appreciate the doctor, the healer. So the selfishness is the problem. And if you look the gospel, and hold the Bible, but the gospel specifically, you will find out that Jesus is always speaking about give to yourself, help the others, renounce yourself, die for yourself, give to the others, be oriented toward the others. Why? Because we are not Caritas. We are not Caritas in that sense. We are not Red Cross. Christians are not Red Cross. Christians had to learn in this world that giving to the others, we are training ourselves to not think selfishly anymore, to be open, and if we can be open to somebody whom we see, a lot easier will be to open ourselves to God. And then, if we fight the selfishness, the desire will disappear, and with the desire also sin. You wouldn't have to go to the priest and confess, because the sickness will be won over. So this is a simple story of Christianity. Jesus came to teach us how to liberate ourselves from the selfishness, how to fight the selfishness. That's why we have to give. That's why we have to share. That's why we have to love each other. Because love is always one way. It's sharing yourself, not expecting anything to you. Many times I'm speaking that love is not emotion. Love is need, essential need. to be part of society, that somebody appreciates you, loves you strongly, not emotion. Emotion is based on need, on desire. When that need and desire disappeared, you don't have emotion anymore. But love is here always. You love somebody, if you learn to love somebody eternally. That's why people are dying when partner dies. Dying because they cannot live without that partner. They're breathing, they're eating, they're drinking life together with the partner. So next time if somebody asks you, or you ask yourself, Jesus came to save me from what? Now I hope you would know the answer. It's a selfishness. But it's not easy, to fight this. That's why Jesus came, because he knew that it'll be impossible for us to fight selfishness from inside of ourselves. We need a helper who will show us, who will guide us, who will come with us in the company, and who will teach us how to do it. And praise to God, to Father, he gave us his Son to help us in this. So, for me, as I said, this is the most essential reading in the Bible, because it points where the problem is. Maybe we don't feel it, but it's like that you have God forbid, that's one have a cancer which is not visible on the first phases, but when you start to feel it, it's already late. So let us not be late in fighting that disease. Amen.